Yes, we're back on the 67 Hail Hail channel on YouTube. I am Hamish Carton, back with another video. Once again, we'd just like to thank you for all the support you've shown, subscribing to the channel, leaving comments, likes, and even just viewing the videos. All of us at 67 Hail Hail really do appreciate that. We've got another video for you today because while it looks like Celtic won't be playing a game for the foreseeable, what's going to happen this summer on the pitch, as I say, probably very little, but there will still be stuff going on off the pitch for Celtic because we are, believe it or not, rapidly approaching another transfer window when Neil Lennon, Lee Congerton, Peter Lawwell and the rest of the team tasked with recruitment will be tasked with just that, improving the Celtic first team. You know, there's so much that's going to be talked about in the tabloids and the papers and online and the radio this summer, especially with those various organisations looking for stories. They'll probably turn to transfer stuff, and there's going to be so much chat about what players could leave Celtic, what players could join Celtic as we get ready for next season. Of course, we don't even know what form next season is going to take, when it's going to start. We don't even know if we've finished this current season. It is, of course, looking a bit like that. We don't know that for sure. But in many ways, not a great deal has changed or will change for the Celtic recruitment team because, quite simply, as Peter Lawwell always says, he'll aim to come out of the transfer window stronger than when Celtic entered it. So with that in mind, as we say on today's video, we're going to take a look at what might and what might not happen over the summer transfer window, what players out of contract will leave the club, what talented first team members could we come under real threat to keep, and what players could we look to bring in to add to the strength and depth of the first team. So lots and lots to discuss. Let's get into it, starting with the players that are definitely for the out. Now, two players who look pretty certain to probably leave the club, Craig Gordon and Calvin Miller. They've both had decent enough careers at Celtic. Of course, Gordon's played far more games than Miller, who's probably turned out to be a little bit disappointing given the hype that was originally around his name when he was breaking through the youth teams. They're both out of contract this summer. Gordon obviously at a different end of his career to Miller, but you would expect him to move on. Whether he retires or not or finds a new club, we're not sure, but certainly you wouldn't expect Celtic at this stage to renew his contract, and the same would go for Miller. He's had loan spells at the likes of Ayr United and Dundee, and you would expect him, if he gets over his injury troubles that's really halted his progress this year, to find a new club and get some game time. So those two are ones that are definitely for the off, in my opinion. I think two other ones who aren't permanently on our books, but players that were in loan that we probably, well, almost certainly won't renew their loans or extend their loans are, first of all, Daniel Arzani, who has been at the club for a year and a half now and has made, I think, 2 appearances. Certainly one this season against Partick Thistle when he came on as a sub. He's had his injury troubles, but it just doesn't look like he's going to make an impact at all. Along with Moritz Bauer, who we've discussed in previous videos, you know, he's probably been the poorest signing we made in the summer. He's been far from a flop, but he's a player that will probably go back down to Stoke as well at the end of his loan spell, and not too many Celtic fans will be too disappointed about that. One player they may be a little more disappointed about that's probably not going to continue his loan spell at Celtic is Mohamed El Yunusi. He was quoted earlier in about mid-April chatting about his prospects of going back to his parent club Southampton. He said, "I still have 3 years left of the contract with Southampton. I want to show a better side of myself than what I've done. I hope I can go back and fight for a place next season." Now, obviously not signing El Yunusi would have seemed like a real blow not so long ago. I don't feel like it's as much of a blow as perhaps it'd be perceived by some supporters. You know, he's done all right, he's scored some goals, but he's hardly been an absolute standout. He's probably not in our top 5 or 6 players from this season. So if he wants to continue his career down south, obviously good luck to him. This coronavirus situation has meant that he's not really got to get a second half of the season at Celtic, but I suppose it is what it is. Fans will be far more worried about the other player we've got on loan from Southampton, of course, Fraser Forster. I think that we're going to sign him permanently. I think there's a few reasons for that. I think he likes it at Celtic, he likes Neil Lennon. We obviously like him, we've been really impressed with what he's doing. I think he's a bit over the hill in terms of his age now, so he realises that, you know, the grass isn't always greener down south. He could probably earn more money, in fact certainly earn more money at Southampton, but where he's happy and enjoying his football, I think he realises that's at Celtic now, so I think we'll sign him permanently. He's got 2 years still to go in his contract. You know, Celtic will probably, I don't know this for a fact, but I think we hold a sell-on percentage on his next move from Southampton from when he sold him in 2014. We're perhaps still receiving payments, instalments from Southampton, so maybe those two reasons could help us negotiate a better deal. I don't know if we could you know, if we obviously write off the 10 or 15% sell-on fee that we probably have on him, it would probably mean we can reduce our transfer fee we pay by that. But I just think we're going to sign Forster, and that would be really good news for everyone at the club. Another big one, Johnny Hayes is out of contract at the end of the season. Will we keep him on? Who knows? You know, Neil Lennon obviously likes him. He's played him in so many big games, started him ahead of actual left backs at the likes of Lazio. He came on against Rennes and obviously played the cup final against Rangers as well when he wasn't fully fit. So if we can keep Johnny Hayes, I think, and he's happy to come and be a second or a third choice still and not be playing every week, because that's just not going to happen, then if he's happy to do that, I think we'll do that, because Neil Lennon clearly likes him and Johnny Hayes clearly likes being at Celtic. There's obviously interest from down south, but I think Hayes away, staying put at Celtic. Now, while chat over Fraser Forster's future will probably dominate the majority of the summer if a deal's not concluded early enough, the other big chat will obviously about Odsonne Edouard and whether he stays at the club. There's going to be interest from certain parties given how good he's been this season. Who knows what's going to happen? With us going for 10 in a row, it would obviously be a bitter blow to lose him. It would be a real sapping effect on the fans, his fellow teammates, the management, the whole club. I think would receive a blow if we did lose Odsonne Edouard. But on the flip side, signing him up in a new deal that's been spoken about would give everyone a massive boost ahead of our 10 in a row season, even if that's going to be largely in front of no fans at games. It would give everyone a massive boost. Me personally, I think that's what will happen. I think he'll stay for one more season, signing a new contract extension to become one of our top earners, with the gentleman's agreement, if you like, that he can go the following summer probably for around 25 to 30 million. At that stage, if we won 10 in a row and he's had a big part to play in that, I think many fans would forgive him the opportunity to go and better his career at not a bigger club probably, but a better league certainly. But I think he'll stay, and I think he'll sign a new deal, which is the most important thing, and everyone will get a massive boost from that. Obviously, in terms of other players, there probably will be a bit of chat about his compatriot Olivier Ntcham, interest from France. Callum McGregor, that Leicester interest that Neil Lennon even spoke about, Brendan Rodgers inquiring about him. The final day, I think that was, of the summer window, that probably will rear its head again, its ugly head, if you like. There's also potential for Tom Rogic maybe to move on. He's not really hit his stride since probably the second season under Rodgers. I know he scored that late goal against Livingston and was looking a bit better and just before the coronavirus pandemic outbreak, but I don't know if I see a massive future for him, especially with Ryan Christie playing so well, so I wouldn't be massively surprised to see Rogic move on. But in terms of other players, important first team players, the ones who have burst onto the scene, the likes of Ryan Christie, Jeremy Frimpong, Christopher Ayer, I think they will all stay put, even if there's a little bit of interest and paper talk about them. I don't see any of them moving on. We will have a big decision to make over some of the players who maybe were just recently signed and haven't managed to make inroads into the first team. I'm talking the likes of Vakun Bayo, I'm talking Marian Shved, I'm also talking Patrick Klimala and Ismail Asoro. Obviously the latter two of them haven't really had a chance due to everything that's gone on, but I do see an opportunity possibly to loan those four out. I think maybe Soro's the least likely to go out on loan, but I also think loaning Klimala out 6 months after paying $3 million for him is a big statement. You know, we have paid a lot of money for this guy and we're expecting him to be able to contribute right away, and I think it would be maybe already admitting that he's not going to be the Edouard replacement that perhaps he was signed to be if we do loan him out so early on. It'll also be interesting to see what happens with the likes of Jonathan Afolabi and Leo Connor, who are obviously on loan in the Championship this season. So will they come back and fit into the first team and get opportunities like Frimpong has? Of course, Luca Connell's the other one of that quartet, if you like, who hasn't had a single competitive appearance, I don't think. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops as well. We've also got, you know, Jack Hendry, Anthony Ralston, Abu Kouassi, three players who were out on loan in the second half of this season. Varying degrees of success there. I think whatever happens, I think most Celtic fans and certainly the management feel that those three don't have a future at the club, so I'd like to see them moved on permanently, free up some wages and basically in the nicest possible way just get them out of our sight and just move on with things, because they're just kind of hanging around there even if they're out on loan. And you know, Anthony Ralston was speaking about possibly having a future at Celtic, and I don't mean to crush his dreams, but I just don't see it happening when you see the quality of player like Frimpong and El Hamid and even Bauer ahead of him this season in the ranks, and they're just a total, you know, different stratosphere in terms of the ability and the level they play at. In terms of incomings then, we've got a big decision. I've already hinted at it about Klimala. You know, is he going to be our Edouard's replacement? I think we're going to need to make that decision pretty early on in pre-season to see how he does. There's obviously been murmurings, and I don't want to report gossip too much because we like to deal in fact in this channel, but there has been murmurings that, you know, Klimala has maybe not exactly endeared himself to Neil Lennon in early aspects of his time in Glasgow. Murmurings over his attitude in training, perhaps not having nearly the qualities that we wanted. As I say, that is just rumours, but I think we'll need to make a decision on him relatively early in pre-season. Can he be our third striker for a full season? I don't think Bayo can. I think we've seen that already. I don't want to massively write him off, but I just don't think he's good enough. So time will tell whether Klimala is as well. If he needs to go out on loan, then we'll only have Edouard and Griffiths probably, unless Afolabi's somehow at that level to be a third striker. I think we then need to sign another striker, which when you've just spent $3 million in Klimala, I don't know if that would make a lot of sense. So that's a big one to look at. We'll also probably revisit the chat about David Turnbull. Of course, he dominated the summer 2019 transfer chat. We had him signed, we had him pictured in Celtic Park wearing a new home kit, and then it fell through. He's since gone on to have an operation. He's only just recently at the end of the season made a comeback for Motherwell, so he's probably not ready to be signed by us, but there probably will be chat about him, especially with, you know, Ryan Christie probably. I don't want to wish him away, but, you know, a couple of years at Celtic and he's probably going to receive a big offer from an English side, you would expect, given the way he's played this season. So Turnbull could be an ideal replacement for him, but time will tell whether he can get over his injury troubles. We'll also need to recruit a left winger if we're going to lose El Yunusi, as well as losing Lewis Morgan and Scott Sinclair in January. We've only really got Mikey Johnson then in the left wing, and he's hardly the most reliable player in terms of his injury problems. So a left winger should probably be signed. In fact, definitely should be signed. Could it be another loanee, a similar one to El Yunusi? Who knows, or will we buy them outright? That's interesting to consider that. Also, centre-back. We didn't sign a centre-back in January. We've only really got Christopher Ayer, Christopher Julian and Jozo Simunovic. I'd say the latter of those three is certainly not going to be a first choice next season, given how he collapsed in the home tie against Copenhagen and the perception he has the Celtic support for either always being injured or making mistakes. That's probably a little bit harsh at times, but I certainly think that we need to be adding another centre back in there. What happens at left back? That's an issue that's probably going to be lost a little bit till football returns again, because it's such an on-field issue of, you know, is Bolingoli good enough? Is Greg Taylor good enough? Where does Johnny Hayes fit into this? Do we need to sign another left back? Have we got three left backs there who maybe none of them are particularly great or where we want to be? Or is that just harsh because they're following on from Kieran Tierney? Time will tell. I personally feel that Greg Taylor has a potential to be decent, good maybe, even if he can improve his attacking play. I think Bolingoli can be a squad player, but he's barely featured since the Rangers defeat at the end of December. So does he have a future at the club? That's one to watch. So is the right wing. Of course, James Forrest has, you know, faded in and out of games this season. He's still had a pretty good goal tally, but we certainly need, you know, a right wing option for him, especially if Marian Shved goes out on loan, which I would expect him to. Given that he's not featured at all basically this season, we probably need to recruit another right winger to, you know, accompany James Forrest and give him a bit of competition for a starting place.